Well, welcome to week 5 in our series Lessons from Lockdowns in the Bible. Today we're going to focus on a lockdown found in the Gospels with Peter and his disciples who were locked down in a boat. But we're particularly going to turn the spotlight on Peter. And the lesson that I want us to learn is the importance of keeping our eyes on Jesus. Now we are all at the moment in a lockdown. And so this is important for us too to bear in mind that despite the difficult circumstances that surround us, we have to make sure that we continue to keep our eyes on Jesus. Now our circumstances aren't favourable, and neither was Peter's. We read in the Gospel account they were in the middle of the Sea of Galilee, and there was a great storm. The winds were howling and it was blowing a gale force wind against their boat. And there were waves, no doubt, that were crashing in around them and possibly spraying them with water as their boat was bobbing up and down. And consequently, they were deeply afraid and they were fearful of their lives. And in this state of chaos, the disciples looked up and they saw Jesus walking on the water. Peter then had a moment of courage and he says, if it is you, let me come to you. Oh, to emulate that faith. The disciple then exercised great faith and he steps out of the boat and begins to walk to Jesus. However, as he looks at the choppy water and the fierce winds, he becomes afraid and his eyes turn away from Jesus and he begins to sink. In a state of desperation, Peter cries out to Jesus to save him and clasps his hand and gets back on the boat. Although Peter is to be commended here for his initial faith, there is a valuable lesson for us to learn from his lapse of faith which caused him to sink. And that is, it is easy for us to take our eyes off Jesus and begin to look at the circumstances like Peter did. In a similar way, we are in lockdown in our homes and we're constantly experiencing wave upon wave crashing in upon our boat as we're in this confinement with the difficult circumstances that surround us. We are too experiencing the mighty winds that are howling around us and against us. Perhaps for us it is the relational strains that we are under, not being able to see our family and friends, not being able to do what we normally do. So in many ways we are like Peter here, confined in a confined environment and prone to look at our unfavourable circumstances. Yet the abiding lesson for us is to glean from this story is not to take our eyes off Jesus, lest we lapse in our faith. Perhaps like Peter, we have become suddenly consumed in our present difficult circumstances. We have begun to sink. May we call out to Jesus like Peter and grasp his hand until we are back on the boat and again enjoying fellowship with him. Again, may we continue to keep our eyes on Jesus. Keep our eyes on Jesus despite the difficult circumstances that you're in.